All right, a few announcements before we speak or hear from our coaches. And I'm going to do an announcement that I did last week because I was hoping the guy would be here last week. He wasn't. He's here this week, so I'm going to formally embarrass him. Scott Burns. Scott was named the Outstanding Oregon Scientist for 2014 for a career-long body of work, mostly at Portland State. He received that honor from the Oregon Academy of Science a couple weeks ago, I believe. Is that right, Scott? So congratulations to you. And on top of that, you're one of our very best supporters, and we sure do appreciate it. But Scott was relating his past month's activities, and he's probably not going to win the award next year because he's been skiing for the last month. No, he has been doing a little skiing, but Scott's been great to our program, and we sure appreciate it. Moving right along, a couple quick updates on our programs. Our golf team has been picked to win the Big Sky Conference Championship this year. That comes in April in Arizona. They have a number of tournaments along the way. Right now, they're playing in the San Jose State Invitational as we speak. So we look forward to their progress throughout the year. Both tennis teams are into conference play already. And track and field just wrapped up the Indoor Conference Championship last week. A few highlights. The women finished 6th in the conference. The men finished 8th. There were 3 school records set at the conference championships by our team. We had 2 Big Sky Conference champions and 7 all Big Sky performers. So a solid performance by our track program last week at indoors. And of course they will start the outdoors here later this month. Moving right along now, we'll move on to softball. And it's softball season. The reason you can tell it's softball season is because it's raining outside. So what you do when you're in Portland is you go to Southern California to play your preseason games, right? That's the smart thing to do. So we go to Southern California. I wasn't there. They were there. They go to Southern California, and what happens? It rains. Rains Friday, rains Saturday. They did get a couple games in yesterday. The softball team beat Rutgers 2-0, lost a game to Cal State Northridge 5-3. They play in a tournament at Stanford this coming week, or this weekend, I should say. UC Santa Barbara the following weekend. Big Sky Conference play begins March 22nd, and that will be at Irvlin Stadium against Idaho State. So mark that on your calendars. Conference play is coming up. And we're excited to see what Barb Sherwood and her team will do in the Big Sky this year. So that leads me to our Athlete of the Week. And I would like to introduce to you a young lady by the name of Brittney Hendrickson. She is a junior from Springfield, Oregon. She was an all Big Sky Conference performer last season for the team. Why was she all Big Sky? She led the team in hitting. She led the team in home runs. She led the team in RBIs. That's a pretty good triple crown right there for Brittney. Currently, she's batting .317 as the season has just gotten underway, doing a really good job. So I'm going to have Brittney come up here, tell you a little bit about herself, and feel free to ask her a question or two. Ladies and gentlemen, Brittney Hendrickson.
Hello, I'm Brittney Hendrickson. I am a junior on the Portland State softball team. My major is health science pre-medicine, and are there any questions?
What position do you play?
I play first base, but I've actually played every position in the infield except for pitcher so far in my career.
What made you come to Portland State?
I came to Portland State because it was close to home, and the softball program has been very successful, and I wanted to be a part of a team that is competitive and plays with the best. I hope to be a sports physician. In high school, I tore my ACL, and so through the process of rehab, I decided that I wanted to be helping athletes get back on the field and court after injuries.
What's your favorite memory of your recent raining trip?
Raining trip?
That's your favorite.
You did go, right?
We did. I would say Krista Kahn's home run that gave us the win against Rutgers.
I'm told the best memory of the trip was a lot of studying. According to Barb Sherwood, she said they spent a lot of time studying as it rained outside. So to tell us a little bit more about that, first-year head coach, Barb Sherwood.
I love that her favorite memory was Christicon's home run to beat Rutgers, but she had a pretty large hit against Northridge. She had a double to score 2 runs against Northridge, so to tie it up in the second inning. But she's pretty modest and she's a pretty great hitter. All that being said, she spends more than 5 to 10 hours a week in the batting cage. She spends a lot of extra time on her own that she doesn't ever talk about. Brittney is one of the most unselfish players. She doesn't speak about it. She doesn't tell anyone about it. She goes a lot of extra time. So highlights thus far this season, I don't even want to speak about, the ups, the downs. I just want to talk about the ups. Highlights this season, we have already stolen 9 bases in 12 games. They stole all of 10 last year, the entire season. In 12 games, we already have 9 home runs. We're on pace to break a lot of records. We beat Indiana, pretty large win already. We run-ruled New Mexico. New Mexico beat Idaho State already this season. Idaho State obviously is pretty big on our radar coming up pretty shortly. We're going to open up conference with them March 22nd. So ups, we beat Rutgers 2-0, Christicon's home run. So we have a lot of ups thus far. We're looking forward to a lot more ups. So team chemistry is right there. We have, our kids are working really, really diligently and really, really working well together. We're sitting in the hotel room studying. It's not a lot of fun sitting in the hotel room waiting on rainouts, but I asked them if they wanted to go to the mall. I asked them if they wanted to go shopping. I asked them if they wanted to go, to a movie, and they said, "No, Coach, we'd rather study because we got to get our work done." So that's the kind of kids that I get to work with. That's the kind of kids that you get to support. So that's the kind of kids that I'm blessed to go to work and, get to work with every day. So I'm thankful for that. That's the ups. So thank you for everything that you do for us, and thank you for coming today, and thank you for your support.
Let's talk a little bit about women's basketball. If you were at the game on Saturday, it was a pretty inspired senior day effort, beating a good Northern Colorado team. It was very exciting to see. It was exciting to see Kate Lands, a senior, play very, very well on her senior day, among others, and get that victory to end the home schedule. It was also really nice to see a tremendous number of alums at the game, and perhaps Coach Morrow will talk a little bit about that. And along those lines, I would like to thank one other person and maybe embarrass him a little bit, but there was an outstanding article written about a group of alumni, a women's basketball alumni group, written by John Wyckoff. And John writes a number of stories for us. We put on GoVikes.com and we send around to local media. And he's purely a volunteer. And he's done that for many years and really adds a lot to our program. And I sure appreciate his efforts. So I'd like to recognize John Wyckoff. And I would say, if you have a moment, go to GoVikes.com. Go to the women's basketball page or the features page and look up that article about this group of alums. And it says a lot about what the young people coming out of Portland State accomplish. Number one, what they get out of Portland State in terms of their education, their athletic success, but the lifelong relationships that they've developed, and just all the wonderful things they've gone on to do in their careers and with their families. It's a neat article, so I encourage you to take a look at that. That said, the women's basketball team on the road this week at Weber State and Idaho State, and here to say a few words is head coach Sherri Murrell.
Thank you, Mike. It was a fun evening, I had to say the least. It was one of those nights where you're just hoping the seniors go out with a win. We've had so many tough, close losses, and it was just wonderful to see how the girls played hard the entire time and played to the end to win. And then to do it for the seniors, but to also have the alums there. And it was fun for me because there was a group of people that in the 95 group, so these young ladies have been together, the alumni group had been together for 18 years after they played, and they had a girls' weekend every weekend since they played. And they, some of them missed because of, of children or so forth, maybe one or two, but they've always had it every weekend. And so they decided this year when we reached out to them, to our alumni, that they would make this weekend their Weekend for Girls weekend. So I had coached a couple of them when I was an assistant back in the 90s here at Portland State. So I had that group of people with me, and then I had the Claire Fauchets, Lexi Bishops, who I had just recently coached, and we all went over to the Tortoise. And it was just so, after the win, it was just so much fun to listen to all the stories. And I just kind of sat, I was just listening. There was a few stories about games here, but it was a lot of the relationships that we all have when we're on the road trips. But I think what I was most impressed with, I always, I'm always asking for money for our program. But I didn't address my alums that night. I just wanted them to have a good time and really build a tradition. Afterwards, Katie Rose Post, who played here, phenomenal player, as Mike knows, she grabbed everybody together, and she, as the night was ending, she said, "Listen, Coach, what do you need? First of all, we have questions about the athletic department. Who's the athletic director? Who's, what's going on? How's the president?" And asked a lot of great questions. And then at the end, they said, "What do you need? What do you need from us alums?" And I thought that was outstanding. I haven't seen it a lot in the women's side. And it's something that we're trying to cultivate a lot more. But they really have. It showed that they really have an invested interest in Portland State. They were joking that they said, "Boy, that Hirsch guy is doing a great job." That we had a great crowd that evening, and David has done a wonderful job, and the crowd was great that day. And they said we had mostly homeless people that would just come off the streets and watch us play, and maybe a few boyfriends from the football team. But other than that, it was homeless people and football and a parent. So they were quite impressed with where the state of the program is going as far as the pavilion and so forth. Very excited that Kate Lands came through. We needed her to have a good game, and she did. I was very happy with Delaney Perry. I know she's a fan favorite of everyone, and she's going to be here for another 3 years. But poor kid gets her shot blocked last second, in the game against Eastern to lose. But then turns around and hits a jumper with 30 seconds left, in the game to put us ahead. And when you're a freshman and you're a point guard, there's a lot of learning to be had. And I felt that took a lot of guts of that kid to really put the team on the back and hit that game-winning shot after she really was really just saddened by Monday's game. I thought Michaela Rivard just played outstanding. We made a huge adjustment and had Allie was struggling, Brock was struggling, and we needed to have a better interior passer, so we put Kate Lands at the high post. I don't know if you noticed that, and she was playing. We had a smaller lineup, but it still worked, and I thought Michaela really worked the back line of the zone when they played zone defense. So it was really good. They were a bigger team than us, not as stronger. If you saw North Dakota, they were bigger and stronger. I think they had about 7 coaches, and all 7 coaches they traveled were 6 foot and above, and all the kids on their team were 6 foot and above, and they're about as wide as Minnesota. So their neighbor. So they were big kids, and we struggled with that. But I was really proud of them. We have this upcoming games, Weber State, and Weber State's been playing well. They just won another one, so it's not going to be easy. And then Idaho State, which they average about 3,000 or 4,000 fans, and it's a real hostile environment to go in. They don't like us so much, and I think they remember back in the days of Claire just kind of taunting them a little bit with her shooting. So it'll be a tough road trip, but I'm looking forward to it. These young ladies really want to finish strong. I don't know if you heard if you were there, but at the end of the game the other night, David put me on the microphone, and I just wanted to thank our fans and everybody in support. It's not easy having a year where you have disappointing injuries and so forth and close losses, but The young ladies that I've coached this year have great attitudes. They worked extremely hard. I never felt like in a game they weren't giving their best effort, and that's one thing you always want. You don't want quitters. You don't want people that could give up. And I also, said that about our fans. There's been some great support that you've just come in game after game and supported us. So I know that Tyler and I have the last 2 games we want to play really well and play for something, and I'm just looking forward to it. And any questions that you all have? Yeah, we have a couple of articles up on the website that you can read, but there's a 6'2" or 6'3" kid out of New Zealand that's coming in, and she's played 2 years of college already. We're looking forward to her. We're going to try to connect her with Scott Burns, who he's well familiar with the New Zealand area. She's very, very skilled, probably more skilled than any kid that we have on our team right now in the post, and athletic. She's averaging a double-double. They're in regionals right now in Wyoming, and I think she's 15 points, 10 rebounds, an outstanding player. And then a girl from Hermiston, 6'2", post player, and she's physically strong, really likes to. We wanted someone that just wants to get in there and just bang a body, and that's her as well. And then there's 2 other kids that we can't talk about that are also post players that will be coming in next year. That have committed to us, but they have not, the signing day is not until April. So I'm looking forward to it. We mainly lost interior players. You have Emily Easom coming back, which, man, what a phenomenal player. Delaney Perry, you have Michaela Rivar that's coming back, and so a lot of good guards, I think. So we're going to reload in the post area for sure. Yeah. Good question. Yes?
You mentioned that the alums had asked what your greatest needs are.
Mm-hmm.
What are they as a softball player?
Well, that put me on a spot right here with the president, and I love it. Well, it's been I'll be honest with you, it's been difficult. When we first were here, I think we're all living off the fat of the land for a while with finances and with Glanville and so forth, and the finances had changed, and so we've had to put a little bit more time into fundraising and so forth. So bottom line, we need to recruit, and so we just need the money for assistance and for recruiting. And right now we are really strapped and where we can go because of the recruiting funds. And so I know every department needs money, everybody needs money, and bottom line, we need to do that. It's been. We need a little luck on our side, to be honest with you. Other than that, we need a little luck on our side. We've had some bad luck the last couple of years. But yeah, it's the bottom line. We need to go out and get recruits and have the assistants that can get out on the road a lot. And that's probably our biggest need so forth. So any other questions? This is my last, well, it's all of our last luncheons, but thank you so much for your support. A lot of you have just been there from the very beginning. I didn't realize I've been here 7 years. A lot of the girls that were saying, Coach, how long has it been? And it's been 7 years, and I just really appreciate all the support financially and with your support in the stands. That's helped us a lot. So thank you so much.
All right. A couple weeks ago, I mentioned that in the Big Sky Conference, the home winning percentage in the Big Sky Conference is 79%. In other words, the Big Sky has the best home court advantage of any Division I conference in the country. And I mentioned that at this luncheon and was trying to make a point because the men's basketball team was going on the road for 4 straight games. So, simple math. I didn't go to Portland State, but I did major in public relations. Means we're going to probably win about one of those 4 games. I'm here to tell you that the men's basketball team went on the road and won 3 of those 4 games and has them right in the thick of the Big Sky Conference race. And it's a real testament to the fact that they knew going on the road that they were up against it. They had to win games to stay in the race, to have a chance at the postseason, which is what every college basketball player dreams of, getting to that conference tournament and trying to survive and advance. And they did a tremendous job on the road, none more so than Saturday night at Northern Colorado, playing a team that going into the day was second in the conference. And the Vikings were trailing at halftime. They came out and shot 71% in the second half And I don't want to say they blew them out, but they won relatively comfortably in the end over Northern Colorado, and that gets them into a tie for 7th place right now at 9-9 in conference play. Now, the real tricky part is, if you've seen the conference standings, they're ridiculous. The team in first is in. They're good enough, they're in. The team in last, they're out. Everybody else, it's all up for grabs. And that's pretty remarkable. You're talking about 9 other teams. So there's all these different tiebreaker scenarios with 2 games left to play. Well, everybody has virtually the same record. So sorting out the tiebreaker, I looked at it today. There's 6 teams with 8 or 9 losses right now. We're one of those 6. And so then I started looking at tiebreakers. Well, we're 2-0 against 2 of the teams. We're 1-1 against 1 of the teams. We're 0-2 against 2 of the teams. And as you can see, everybody's playing everybody else. Everybody's beating everybody else. So what does that mean? Well, all that means, Tyler, is you just got to win 2 games this week. That's all that means. Just win 2 games, and we don't have to do the math at the end. So it's setting up for a really exciting week. First place, Weber State comes to town Thursday night, and then Idaho State comes to town, and Idaho State's in 10th place, and they still have a chance to get in the tournament. They're 8-10 right now in the season. They come to town on Saturday night, so you know they're playing for a lot as well. So it's going to be a really exciting weekend here at the Stott Center, and here to tell you about it is head coach Tyler Geving.
We had a heck of a road trip. It was, especially after the way we lost those last 2 games at home, the Northern Arizona game, the way we lost that took a little bit out of us, and then losing the Sac State, and you're sitting there at 6-8, and like Mike says, you go on the road, and you're just going, oh boy, we've had a hard time on the road. We've had a tough stretch. We better come together right now. We better figure this out, or the season's going to be over in a hurry. So we kind of came up with a little mantra for the guys. We said, okay, guys, let's just make this the best week of our life. And we kind of just had that little saying, and kind of let's embrace the grind. Let's backs against the wall. Let's go out and do this. And really credit to the kids, because after that homestand and you're 6-8 and you're struggling a little bit, that for them to come out and practice the way they did, that was a good sign to me on that Monday before we went to Southern Utah. And the kids just really stick together. They like each other. You always talk about team chemistry. I think that's very important. And I think as coaches, sometimes that's stuff you can't coach. I truly believe that kids either are going to play for each other, they like each other. You can do all the team bonding you want, but if they don't like each other, then they don't like each other. So this group really plays for each other. They don't really care who gets the points or who gets the assists or the rebounds. Basically, at the end of the day, they want to win. So that was really encouraging, kind of going into that Southern Utah week, that the way we came out to practice those first 2 days and then kind of took it on the road. But speaking of why it's so hard to win on the road, we left February 19th. We flew to Vegas, bussed up to Cedar City, played there. After the game, bussed back to Vegas, flew home. We were home for 2 days, flew to Spokane, played at Eastern the next day on a Monday, flew home Tuesday morning. Wednesday morning, we left the Stott Center at 4 a.m., so we had to catch the shuttle to the airport for the 5:40 flight, flew to Fargo, bussed up the Grand Forks, Rapids, whatever, where it was minus 24 out up there. Next day, drive back to Fargo, fly to Denver, bus an hour up to Greeley. We got to Greeley on Friday, and I looked at the assistant and said, are we going to practice tonight? Because I don't feel like practicing. I'm worn out. So we didn't even practice Friday night. We watched film. And we just went over to the gym and got shots up for 30 minutes, because I think this time of the year, it's more mental. It's more physically making sure you have your legs fresh, kind of just being in a good mental state. So we kind of took that approach, and obviously it worked for us the other night in the second half. And shooting 71%, I look like a really good coach when the shot goes in. When they don't go in, I'm kind of a bad coach, but when they go in, you start looking like a great coach. But it was a great road trip. I think it's a good time for your team to kind of come together. We had a good night at the movies. We went and saw The Lone Survivor. That was kind of if anybody's seen that movie, it's a kind of backs against the wall type deal. We went and took the kids to that, and they started using some lines from the movies. And kind of a funny thing, Coach Hironaka, my assistant, who is never said a cuss word in his 57 years, never had sip of alcohol. He goes to church every Sunday. Just probably one of my biggest mentors in my life. And then to have him as an assistant coach is unbelievable for me. But we were at Southern Utah, and I kind of gave the speech like, hey, we need to be ready to go tomorrow, yada, yada, back, did the whole deal. And coaches, do you have anything to say? And here's Coach Hironaka kind of bent over, and we either play hard or we die. And it was like, I go, well, I don't think we're going to die. Everybody kind of laughed because I don't think anybody expected Coach Hironaka to say that. And then I kind of look, I go, I don't think we're going to die, but if we do play hard, I think we'll give ourselves a chance. I think that's pretty good. But like Mike said, we're in a good situation. Obviously, 2 home games, and obviously they're not going to be easy. Weber State's in first. We have them on Thursday night, so we need to get that done. Luckily, Damian Lillard's not playing, so that helps a little bit. And then Idaho State Saturday. It's kind of a tough week because Weber State plays man-to-man defense, and then Saturday we're going to see nothing but 40 minutes of zone of Idaho State. So they're really just 2 different teams that we got to prepare for this week. So kind of try and prepare for both of them a little bit today, spend a little bit more time on Weber Tuesday and Wednesday, and then get ready for Idaho State on Friday and Saturday. But obviously we want to get in the Big Sky tournament and finish with a winning record. And obviously if we don't make the NCAA tournament, there's a good opportunity for us to get in the College Insiders tournament, the CIT, which is another postseason tournament for us. So a lot of things to play for, and excited about this group. It's coming together, and really we have 2 seniors, Alex Foster, who's a walk-on, and Kyle Richardson, who's been doing a phenomenal job for us lately. So it's a great group coming back, and hopefully we can make an exciting run here this weekend, and really looking forward to it. So questions? Yeah, Bob?
The stretch that you shot the 71%, was there a pattern to what kind of shots out? How long shots out?
You know what? I think in that game we got off to a bad start offensively. They play, well, there's a thing called synergy that we do all this video on, but it shows what they like to play, man or defense. They play like 90% man-to-man, and they came out and played a zone. And I think it kind of caught us off guard a little bit. I know it caught me off guard a little bit because that's something that they usually just don't do. So we kind of had to get settled in a little bit. And then the second half, bottom line, we just made shots. Simple as that. Deshaun Wiggins was, I think he had 4 straight possessions. We went to him with the ball for kind of the last shot, and he went 4 for 4 down the stretch. So good coach, bad coach, and the shots in the air kind of deal. So it was good. Yeah.
I'm very proud of what you've done with such a short team. And the chemistry on the team is great. How about the chemistry on the coaching staff? I think the lots that the players have come up with is because of great coaching. What's the chemistry on your coaching? Yeah, you know what? I've always said this. You can't fool 18 to 22-year-olds, and they know when coaches don't get along or there's kind of a rift between the coaches or whatever. But we're all on the same page. Anthony, who's been with me for 5 years, I think everybody in the room knows him. He's the greatest guy you'll ever want to meet, and loyal as they come. And obviously Jeff and I had worked together, and I think very highly of Jeff. I think he's a phenomenal X and O type coach and strategy, and the kids really respect that part of him. And Jace Coburn, who we hired, brings a lot of energy and enthusiasm, and kind of watching him and Anthony as the 2 young guys. I used to be the young guy that could relate to the kids and knew what Drake was and all that rap music, but that's past me now. So I got to have those guys that can kind of relate with those kids, and they do a phenomenal job of just getting them prepared for the game. And Jeff and I are kind of these old guys a little bit strategizing and doing it. And the great thing is all 4 of us really get along extremely well. And then we added Adam Wardell, who's our basketball ops guy, who played for Coach Hironaka at Seattle Pacific. So the 5 of us really bond together and are close together. And I think that feeds to the kids. I really do. Yeah. So I couldn't be more happy with the staff I have. Appreciate it, and looking forward to it. Should be some fun games and fun weekends. Like I tell the kids, there's no motivational speeches this time of the year. It's whatever team's going to come out and play hard and wants it a little bit more. Whatever team can make a few plays here and there, because
everybody's going to be prepared and everybody's ready to go and everybody knows what's at stake. So just comes down to giving it our best and see what we can do.
Well, I think if you've seen them play this year, you know they certainly play extremely hard and are very entertaining to watch. And being an undersized point guard myself back in the day, I can appreciate all those undersized guys out on the court. So good luck to the men's basketball team. Good luck to softball this week at the tournament. Good luck to women's basketball on the road. Hi, Terry.
Just want to say you've given kudos to everybody else and you've done a great job as an MC.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. True story. My father named me Michael Clark, and he always told me, I gave you the initials MC for a reason. That's a true story. That is a true story. All right, thank you. Once again, everybody, we'll see you at the games this week.